Joining us now is Washington, D.C. correspondent at Unherd, Emily Jashinsky. Emily, thank you for joining us. It's been a little while since we last spoke, but last week Donald Trump's team marked the first 100 days of his second presidency. And I want to talk to you about what we can expect in the next 100 days. We know that the president's hopeful Congress will pass Trump's big, beautiful bill, which will include the biggest tax cuts in history. And of course, the border will continue to be a big focus. But what can we really expect in the coming months?
Well, yeah, one of the most important things about that big, beautiful bill, as Trump describes it, is that it goes through what's called reconciliation here in the US Congress. And when that happens, a lot of different political factions try to stuff these bills full of their priorities. So that tax bill won't just be a tax bill. They're also hoping to stuff all kinds of different things that could be funding border security into that bill. It's very, very high stakes. It also will incorporate their industrial policy. Basically, it will be a package of tax incentives to augment the tariff policy. And so those are a couple of things just to come. I mean, we're going to get a lot more specifics on what the deals are that the Trump administration is working out with countries like India, Australia, and Japan, UK, EU in the months to come. So that's huge. But also on the tax cut front, that bill is expected to include all kinds of incentives that would hopefully help by Trump's ambition, bring a lot of jobs back to the United States, especially in critical industries like pharmaceutical manufacturing, auto industry, et cetera.
It's interesting as well. Today, the Department of Homeland Security announced a new self-deportation plan for illegal immigrants where they'll receive a free plane ticket home as well as a $1,000 payment once they're confirmed to have left the country. And the potential airfare for immigrants who voluntarily depart will apparently be costing less than the actual deportation, according to the agency, as the average cost for arresting, detaining and then deporting someone without legal status is apparently going to costs about $17,000 according to the DHS. What do you make of this plan? How successful will it be?
You know, they're going to have to hope that this is enormously successful. And I do think it's a good step in the right direction. Not only did Homeland Security announce that $1,000, basically it's a stipend. As soon as a migrant self-deports and they're back in their country, they will get $1,000, which for many of these trips should be plenty. But again, it's on the U.S. taxpayer, but to your point, still cheaper than what it takes to, by U.S. law, actually detain people. U.S. law does say you are supposed to detain people. That's something that was relaxed under the Biden administration while they await their asylum hearing. And so right now, if Donald Trump wanted to go back to a system like that, it would be incredibly expensive. It also saves the administration all of the resources that it takes to go find people in different cities, often sanctuary cities, all over the country, to fight the legal battles, to go through judges. I mean, the amount of resources it takes per each person is incredible. And so with this app, actually, is the way that you're able to use it is it's CBP Home. So the Biden administration introduced something called CBP One, which allowed people to schedule asylum appointments. The Trump administration has flipped that on its head, and they have used that app, renamed it CBP Home, and allowed people to literally schedule their travel back to their home country. And they used an interesting word in the press release today, which is dignified. They said this is a dignified way for us for each migrant to leave the country. And I think that's a really strong argument from the Trump administration.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Donald Trump is still talking tough, and he's announced that he's planning on reopening the Alcatraz prison, despite, of course, it being closed for more than 60 years. He claims that the world-famous jail will be used to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. Let's take a listen.
Get the idea for reopening Alcatraz.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly.
I have visited the prison. It is absolutely terrifying. Is Donald Trump serious?
Well, I think part of the tell was in his back and forth there at the White House, where he immediately sort of started talking about how it was a symbol. And that's similar to what we saw with the deportations. The Trump administration initially used Guantanamo Bay, then sent about a few hundred deportees to El Salvador. But we're talking about a deportation effort of millions of people. So basically, these are drops in the bucket that are meant to function as disincentives and incentives, in fact, for people to self-deport. I think they're looking at something similar with Alcatraz. So Donald Trump has said he's instructing the FBI and others here in the American government to actually look at what it would take to expand Alcatraz. And so that would be, I mean, a massive cost-intensive process. And I honestly think right now it's pretty hard to know how completely serious. You hear him there talking about it's just an idea I had. It's a symbol. I think he wants to symbolically signal to criminals that, and the lawyers of criminals, that he's less tolerant than other administrations have been. So whether it actually comes to fruition physically, I think is a different question.
Absolutely. He's really pushing ahead with his message that he wants to make America safe again. And Trump's also blasted Mexico's president for rejecting his proposal to send US troops to Mexico, accusing the president of rejecting this to help thwart the illegal drug trade because she's so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think straight. Let's take a listen.
So Mexico is saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartel. She wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question?
That's why I'm asking. We'll see.
I will answer it. It's true.
And why would you do that?
Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We've lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. And, we had 300,000 people die last year from fentanyl and all of that. We had millions of people brought into this country that shouldn't be here. The cartels brought them in.
Emily, what do you make of the president's comments?
His relationship with Claudia Sheinbaum so far, President of Mexico, has been one of the best relationships, especially among the crucial relationships that Donald Trump has with foreign leaders, because Sheinbaum herself has handled it very deftly. She has been very respectful of Trump, and he, in return, has been very respectful for her. And the relationship has, over the course of these first 5 months of his presidency, been mutually beneficial in a way that we have not seen, most particularly with Canada, but also with the UK and the EU. So it doesn't behoove either party for this rift to be blown up into something much bigger. So Sheinbaum is going to have to be playing this very carefully. Trump, on the other hand, whether this is back-channeled through ambassadors and diplomats, has to understand that Mexican politics, the question of sovereignty, is really critical for Claudia Sheinbaum to continue hammering. She needs to look like she is honoring the sovereignty of Mexico and is not letting the United States trample on Mexico for her own political sake. Now, the other important point, though, is Donald Trump is right. Mexico is essentially a narco state. And for Mexico to be on the border of the United States is also not good for the United States. So he needs that relationship to be strong as well. And as he might say, he really has the cards in this one, though Sheinbaum can be a real boost to his efforts to seal the border and keep America safe as well.